Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Thursday, April 14th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown, so if you use charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. Before I get to the watch list, I first want to personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering next week. So if you're liking what you see here and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency as a trader, then certainly get signed up for the free class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you're liking what you see, certainly get signed up for the free class. Couple of quick clarification points. First off, this number over here will still be changing as I talked about the charts. The candlestick will be changing because the market is still open for a small amount of time. I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. So keep that in mind. And then also I'll be using the 30-minute time frame. So if you're a beginner, all that means that each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So first one here, ticker symbol ATER, and a very, very impressive movement today and a nice little late day pattern here that's formed. So when I draw out this pattern, let me be very clear. I'm not trying to impress you by implying that this is a great skill or that this is some sort of great discovery. In fact, the exact opposite. I assure you, people around the world have noticed this and have drawn the same pattern. And I say all that because when a lot of people are watching the same thing and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy. Call it whatever you want. It can produce some very worthwhile type movement. So the level here that I think a lot of people will be watching pattern-wise is they've drawn that trend line like that, and then they have another trend line that looks something like that. And in fact, let me change that to green to represent more so the bullish attribute of the pattern. And then just to make this all the more maybe easier to see, make it one color. So again, we have our resistance there. We have our support here. We have our momentum move right there. And then for you golfers out there, let me put a little golf hole down here to make it that much more visual. This would be known as a bull pennant pattern. So while nothing is guaranteed, my point is this. It is more than valid. It's more than logical to think that if the price can break up through the top part of that pattern, that break in and of itself could create quite a bit of upwards buying pressure. So if you like to play bull pennants, if you like to play stocks down below $10, this one should definitely be on your watch list. Next one, VERU, and this will mean a bit more to those of you that watched the video from yesterday on Tuesday. But I talked about how, sometimes stocks will make a big move up, and then it seems like everybody just forgets about it. And then all of a sudden, things can come back to life again, and that is exactly what happened here. So yes, I realize on Tuesday, it seemed like the party was over. It seemed like nobody cared about it anymore, barely any volume. But I mean, now check out this late day action. Very, very powerful day, even more powerful late afternoon. So the level here that everybody and their brother's uncle is going to be watching is right up here at, let me actually get this value right. I don't want to get $14.57. So let's just call it $14.60. And there's nothing fancy or complicated behind that other than the fact that that's just simply where the party stopped back a couple of days ago. So the big question mark moving forward is, can the party get up to that area, but unlike last time, keep on partying? So that'll be the main question. That'll be the main kind of breakout area to watch. For those people that like to play pullbacks, interesting level that stands out to me. Right down here at $12.25. So keep an eye on that from the support side of things. But in my opinion, at least, the most interesting dynamic, and I think the dynamic that most people are going to be watching and wondering about, is right up there at $14.60. So let's see what happens with it. Next one, AMC. Very, very impressive day. You got to give credit where credit's due, especially when you factor in just how bad things actually started off. I mean, it started off with a gap and trap. Price gapped up and then fell all the way down here, broke through the lows. However, that was just within the first 30 minutes, and you can see the rest of the story. Not only did it recover, it kept going and going. Not only did it get up to that resistance, not only did it get up to the purple line there, the 50-period moving average, and it just kept on going and going. So yes, there is a lot more work that still needs to be done, but you also have to give the AMC bulls credit. Very, very impressive bounce, no doubt about it, which brings about the first key update here. I'm going to go ahead and adjust this level down here a bit because in my mind, this is now a very important level at 1775, and this rule is just based on foundational rule that states when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you want to see them act as support, especially in this case. And by no means am I saying this is what's going to happen, but just for explanation's sake, if the price were to come down to 1775 and then continue on down, what would you have at that point? You would quite literally have the price having gone, well, right back to where it was. And I mean, not to insult your intelligence, but movements with genuine power, with true bullishness, are not going to go back to where they were, right? They're going to show at least some sort of sign of progress, meaning if the price did come down here, but the difference being went sideways and then worked its way back up, well, now what would that look like? That'd give you a set of lows there, give you a set of lows down there, and you envision those as stair steps, and you now have stair steps making progress in the upwards direction. So no doubt about it, today a great day. Was it a truly strong day with genuine power? Well, let's see at least if the price can show signs of progress, once again being defined as 1775. Next one, KLDO, for you penny stock players out there. A very, very crazy day, huge volume. Now things are a little not quite sure, but that's the idea behind a watch list, right? Let's find unique situations, let's find interesting situations, and then watch them. And if you see it behave in a way that you feel comfortable with, well, then yeah, at that point you can start to put together a trade plan. But I mean, this one's certainly worth at least watching, given the massive volume, that opening 30 minutes, which you can see right there, big green candle. But now what makes it interesting is, yeah, the price is pulling back. But the question just becomes, and again, this is why it's worth at least watching. Doesn't mean you just buy all of a sudden, but watch is, is this the beginning of the end? Is this a healthy pullback? And that's where I think this trend line comes into play, and the trend line that a lot of people will be watching, because once again, no guarantees, but is it valid? Is it plausible to think that if the price can push back above that trend line, that break right there could create quite a bit of upwards buying pressure? Yeah, in my mind, that would be a worthwhile potential trade setup to keep an eye on. But as of now, and that's why you want to use that trend line as some sort of confirmation point, because yeah, right, it's the price is just bleeding right now. But if the price does turn around and show some strength, quote unquote, show some strength, and that's why I love charts, is it's easy for me to say show some strength. But I mean, what does that even mean? Well, with charts, you can make that very visual. My definition of quote unquote show some strength is getting up above and breaking through that trend line right there. So keep an eye on that, obviously, especially if you like to play penny stocks. Next one, CRTD, and this is on the list for one reason alone, that right there. Everybody and their brother's uncle has drawn that trend line right there. So I'm not going to repeat myself too much, but goes back to the whole idea of lots of people watching, wondering the same thing, self-fulfilling prophecy. So if the price can recover back up there and get a break up through that trend line, in my mind, that could certainly very plausibly create a whole nother rush of buying and momentum and get very, very interesting. But to me, that's what it's all about. That trend line right there, just because it sticks out like such a sore thumb. So we'll see if it comes back into play. And if it does, can the price break? Only time will tell. Next one, CEI, another penny stock. CEI, a pretty, I don't know if famous is the right word, but it certainly made some very, very big movements over the past year. And these ones are always worth keeping an eye on because, yes, I state the obvious, but big move up on big volume. So all of that leads to the basic question, hey, is this the start of something bigger? Now think about that. In order to even be able to ask that question, what has to happen? Well, something needs to happen. And in many situations, nothing ever happens. So you can never look at a stock and be like, hey, is this the start of something bigger? Because nothing even happens. So something happening is quite a bit in and of itself. And once again, as I mentioned earlier, that's the idea of a watch list, is let's identify unique situations and then watch them. And in this situation, let's just see, is this the start of something bigger? Is this going to be one of these situations where 2 weeks from now, I'm sitting here saying, geez, remember when CEI was down below $1? Maybe, to be fair, maybe it's not. Maybe this is just a one-day wonder, and this thing's going to sink back to oblivion. But that is a two-sided coin because, well, I don't know, maybe it is the start of something much bigger, and the thing continues on up. So CEI, given its track record, combined with the fact that, well, it's starting to show some signs of life again, certainly worth kind of just throwing into the category of, all right, it's shown the ability to move quickly in the past, so is this the start of something new again? Let's see what happens. Next one, NIO, another good solid day. Updates need to be made. We're going to go ahead and do some house cleaning, get rid of that line from a previous video, and then do our first update, which you probably now know when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you want to see them act as support. So moving forward now, 1990, that new area of support, which just happens to also coincide. I mean, you can barely see that purple line because they're essentially one and the same. So it's almost it is a double whammy of support down there at 1990. So if there are any sort of pullbacks, that would certainly be the main area of support to watch. But really, as far as, kind of just general levels that now need to be broken, public enemy number one, without doubt, is going to be that pink line up there, the overarching 200 period moving average, currently valued at 2120. So keep an eye on that. But what matters most, and what today accomplished, again, like AMC, started off really rough, being all the way down here, but that was the lowest it got. So you now have that was a terrible line. I got to try that again. You now have a set of lows there. You now have this low down here. If you envision those as stair steps, well, now you're starting to see some signs of progress, and that's what it's all about. So, but again, yeah, near term 1990 support, and then 2120, that 200 period moving average, next key battleground of resistance. Next one, BFRI. as I said earlier, I don't know if famous is the right word, but this one certainly has a track record of moving pretty quickly. And what was that? I think CRTD, the only reason, I shouldn't say the only reason, but a big main reason why this one is on here is 550. What a well-defined area, self-fulfilling prophecy point. You can see right here, generally speaking, knock down the price. Generally speaking, knock down the price. And then once again, during the last 30 minutes, generally speaking, knock down the price. So guaranteed? No, of course not. But valid, plausible to think that if BFRI can get up to 550 and then push up through it, that could create a whole nother round of upwards, momentum and breaking out. That is absolutely a valid thought process to have. So if you like to play breakouts, you like playing stocks down below $5, then definitely keep an eye on BFRI and $5.50. Next one, good old NVDA, very popular stock, one that I can't say trade every day, but I'm certainly always observing it every day. And what makes this very interesting in my mind is this last 30 minutes here, very, very shaky. And you combine that with the fact that it's occurring by the 50-period moving average, and you combine that with the fact that overall this is still in a downwards move. The big question mark on my mind is, all right, is this thing about to roll back over? No, I don't mean crash or anything like that, but is there going to be some downwards pain now that shows up, once again, based off of all these factors? And maybe not. Maybe it's a false signal, but the key level that I'll be watching from the resistance side of things is right here, that trend line right there, which has been doing a fantastic job of forecasting where those problem points have been. But then even more importantly, at least in my mind, the level that I'm very curious about from a support side of things is down here at the $219 mark. Because if 219 gets tested and then fails, there's some pretty big wiggle room here before finding potential support down there around the 213 mark. So there does seem to be quite a bit of potential opportunity, but it's all going to be based on how does it behave early on Thursday morning. Because right now, last 30 minutes of today, which, as we're recording is Wednesday, suggesting some bearishness, but you never know what might happen overnight. But overall, a very interesting setup that's occurring within the downtrend, which does put more of a bearish angle to things. Next one, TSLA. Tesla traded every day, and it got me today. Was red, not by much, but yeah, I was looking to play that breakdown right there. It did break down and said, hey, Clay. See, I can't even say my name right. Just kidding, Clay. Boom, up it went. Again, I to give myself a little credit, I cut the loss fast, so it didn't spin out of control. It didn't wreck my account, and it was at the end of the day, because I made some green trades on it too. It was a red day, but nothing massive at all. But yeah, that got me right there, and that put me behind the 8 ball. So spent the rest of the day kind of just minimizing the hole that I had put myself in, even though it wasn't that big of a hole. But point being, hey, you're not alone. If you try to play that breakdown too, and it got you, well, it got me too. But so moving forward, I'm still going to keep an eye on 975. In my mind, that's still a very, very valid level, especially after today. Yet another data point right there. But more so in the near term, key level of support to watch going to be right here at that 50-period moving average, right now valued at the 1005 mark. So keep an eye on that. And then resistance-wise, actually, I can't tell. Did the price get up through here or not? Right there. Basically sitting right at this level here. Let's just call it. Let me move that up here a little bit. Yeah, the 1025 mark, you can see this was a former area of support over here. So now we just have the classic example of that support, generally speaking, acting as resistance. So 1025 will be that main area of resistance right there. But overall, those are going to be now, if Tesla can get a good solid break of 1025, then nothing really massive standing in its way until that 200-period moving average, not up until right around the 1050 mark. So definitely some leeway for this thing to keep on moving if it can get that breakout. But if this does just become a big sideways channel and this thing's about to head back down to the channel before bouncing back up again, well, this area right here could certainly produce some interesting movement for puts and shorts and stuff like that. But those will be the main dynamics I'm watching on Tesla. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used as a trader, then certainly get signed up for this free class. Like I said, next week, it'll be Thursday, April 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, if you would like for me to continue to put in the time and effort to create this sort of content, then do 2 things for me. Hit that like button, leave a simple comment, say hi, tell me what you traded today, tell me what you're watching tomorrow. But those 2 things communicate to me that you enjoy. And as long as I know people are enjoying, I will continue to put in the time and effort. Again, get signed up for that free class next week. If you want to learn more about charts and how to use them to build consistency, everybody take care. Have a good one.